Oh,
Hello.
hello. Oh, much better. The audio
Okay.
quality is amazing.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I had it all set up and I was like, ah.
Okay, perfect. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. You
I'm
too.
Stefan.
Stefan. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Lisa.
Do you have any critical questions to ask me before we kind of start chatting or anything like that? You can ask me anything you want.
Whereabouts in Canada are you?
I'm in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Saskatoon is
What
the
the hell
city.
is that?
No doubt, no doubt. Saskatoon is the city, and then Saskatchewan is the province, and it's one of whatever 12 or 13 in Canada. I don't even know how many provinces we have, but yeah, it's
Okay.
right in the
Where's
middle.
that? Like, oh, okay, in the middle.
Right in the
Oh,
middle.
so
Yeah, yeah. We're a
okay.
prairie province. That's what they call us. I was actually just looking up like how much farming happens in Australia, and I was surprised that there is actually quite a bit of farmland over there.
Oh yeah. It's like one of the main things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
surprised. Like just like how people. I actually was sad. I was like, you are not doing well enough because I was like thinking of Australia as if it's just deserts everywhere in the same way that people misinterpret that that's Canada. It's like, oh, just igloos everywhere and ice.
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
not doing
yeah.
good
No.
enough.
Yeah, no, we did pretty well here. Coming here in Australia. But
Have you been
yeah, I
there
mean, a
for
lot of
many generations? Like your family? How many generations have you been?
yeah, like six generations on some sides, whereas my granddad on my dad's side is was born in England, but there's like some six generations in there.
Yeah, yeah, you look very British, just like me, actually. So it's like, yeah. But I don't know much about Australia. That's why I think it's going to be great to talk to you. So if you're all right with it,
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
just start the episode kind of officially. But
yeah.
if you're
Let's get
ready,
into it.
yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, this is Canadian Talk. We have a new episode today with guest Lisa Jane Spencer. So I came across you on the internet, just like any other crazy person looking for stuff, and I was like, this this person is like, and I always start every episode with this. So if I'm pigeonholing you, if I'm not describing you fully, please correct me. This is just what got me onto you.
Hmm.
So I saw your videos. I saw how much traction they were getting. You were making videos that were comedic and very funny, very accurate, but then people were mad that they were like a little bit um, they had a political message in a way, and then people would, as they do, they put those political messages in a box and they're like, oh, this is this or that, and it's negative stuff. But you make amazing videos, people seem to love them. It's just as hard to get people to hate you as to love you, and your videos seem to be catching on. From what I've seen, I don't think you've been doing it that long, and you're
No.
already finding great popularity. You have hundreds of thousands of subscribers on like social media platforms like Instagram. You have a very popular YouTube. So yeah, thank you so much for making some time for a dumb Canadian like me today. A dumb Canadian and dumb comedian like me today. So yeah, so that's
Thank
what I
you.
see from you, and I think that you are amazing. And
No, thanks.
so thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I haven't been doing this that long, but yeah, a few years. Yeah.
So what do you consider yourself? Like, are you a? Because I know I saw you on Kiltonian. We can talk about that a little bit later. But you're very funny. So and Instagram nowadays, like social media rather, kind of defines who we are before we even have an ability to define what we are, because we put
Mm,
out ourselves and then it's almost like the internet tells us. But what if you had to
yeah.
kind of describe what you think you are or what you think you're doing? What do you think you're up to?
Yeah, it's a good way to put it because I never called myself a comedian. Like I just started to make videos and like funny videos, and that's just how it started for me. I was doing music before that, and I was full blown musician, but then it was just I was making funny videos, and then all of a sudden people started calling me a comedian, and I was like, oh, I guess that's what's going on. And so I kind of just used that label. But I think mostly I do a lot of satire. So I think the label satirist, I think that's the word. I think that's a good label to use as well, um, which is a form of comedy, but it's not. It's like it's slightly different to being a comedian. But and
Yeah.
then sometimes I do stand up. You know, I did it in at Killed Tony. That was actually my second day of stand up, and
Wow.
I yeah, and I've done a few spots here and there, and so then, you know, if I'm doing stand up more, then I guess you call me a stand up comedian. It's like whatever you're doing becomes the label, I think.
Yeah, it's
And
like being a
yeah.
satirist is a lot like how you have like a horror movie and you have a thriller movie. And a horror movie would be like comedy, right? Where it's just like maybe there's some gore, it's like there's a killer, he's chasing you, it's obvious what the joke is and the message. And then being a
Mm.
satirist is a lot like a thriller where you have like some kind of strange invisible demon, that demon that scares people, but it's like it's still sending the same message as a horror. It still freaks you out, but it's like a different kind of a way of doing it. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like that's an analogy that might work, but maybe I'm coming off stupid. I don't know.
No, no, no. It does work. And yeah, not everyone loves satire. Like, because, excuse me, satire is more of that deeper stuff where it can be political. A lot of the time it is political and it's pointing out people's contradictions, whether that's cultural or political, whatever, pointing out hypocrisy, pointing out like all kind it's kind of like a way to criticize, really. It's a critical, yeah, it's a way to criticize using laughter. And so if you're on board with that criticism and you're kind of like, yeah, I agree with that, you're going to find it really, really funny. Whereas if you're someone who is being criticized, it might be a little hard to laugh at yourself and, you know, to get that feedback. So that's why it is a little bit black and white sometimes, or it is like, you know, people love it or people hate it, people get offended, and it's simply because they're usually the ones being poked at,
Yeah,
made fun of. Yeah.
yeah, true. Yeah, satire it is a little bit polarizing in that way, but I think it is an amazing tool. Like, um, what's interesting though is it feels like a lot of on let's say messages on the right. Let's just put them as messages on the right because the only message coming from the left is mostly like institutional media and that kind of stuff, and that's what it is. I feel like the message from the right, it's almost like the only way that we can put it out nowadays is through satire, because any
Mm,
other way of calling out the left for something that they're doing that is damaging or wrong, they immediately label it as a term that we can't get past. Whether it be racism or xenophobic or whatever it is, you can't surmount that as an individual trying to put out a message like we're trying to do to counteract, let's say, the message on the left. You end up being
mm.
bogged down by just a single term and then you're stuck. So it's almost like comedy is the only way to break through that nowadays. Sometimes I feel that way. What do you
Yeah,
think about that?
I totally agree. I think, yeah, comedy and laughter, and satire has this way of kind of dismantling power. It just really cuts through, and it can be really brutal, but it can be really quick. And it's, I've said this before. It's like, I don't know if you're familiar with Harry Potter, but I used to be a big fan of Harry Potter. And there's this one part of Harry Potter, I can't remember what book it was, but there was this scary kind of figure thing, and it comes out, I think it's called a Bogart or something, and it takes a whole, or it it takes the shape of your deepest fear, and it
Uh,
might scare you, and that's how it, you know, gets energy or something. And to break it, to, you know, make it go away, you have to do that spell where it kind of ridiculous, and you have to kind of make yourself laugh at it, and
yeah,
that's the only thing that makes it go away. And I think it is, that thing is, if you can laugh about something, it can't really have any power over you. And that's why I see the power in like being able to laugh at yourself and your own situations as well, because when you can laugh at whatever's going on in your life, it has no power. You can move through it. And I don't think a lot of people see it that way. Like if I make fun of someone or some type of person, they're like, oh my God, how could you say that? Like, mew, 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 that's, you know, whatever. And I'm like, well, are you not laughing at this thing? Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty funny. Like, I laugh at stuff that happens to me all the time or something about myself all the time. And,
yeah.
it helps to get over it.
It's like an experiment in a way. So like if you do a physics experiment and you get the right answer, like you push a trolley with this much force and it's supposed to go that much distance and you get it right, it's like there's a feeling. And it's what's weird
Mm.
about trying to make any type of a sociological or societal insight is sometimes it feels like there is no real result where you look at it and go, okay, that's what's true. Because like various things make people sad or angry. It's like those emotions you can't really trust. But when it comes to laughter, whenever people laugh, you are saying something that's true. It almost feels like that
Mm.
reaction that you're looking for when you're doing an experiment with something. So I don't know. I just thought I'd say that.
Yeah,
Is
no,
that
it's
worth
so
saying?
true. So many people say that. Like, it's so funny that it's true.
Yeah,
Like, that's often what makes people laugh is it's true.
yeah,
Like, and I think that's why comedy right now and satire kind of works, because there's so many things that probably the same in Canada, but in Australia you're not allowed to say. We don't have this freedom of speech.
yeah,
Really, I mean, we do in a way, but not really. Like right now,
yeah,
we've got a lot of laws and stuff, and there's just a lot of taboo. Like you get cast out. Like I basically
yes,
got cancelled just for saying a joke,
yeah,
and it. I think that's why people need that relief to say the thing, to say the truth, and do it, in a joke way. Because it's like, well, we can't say the truth.
yeah, exactly. There's no other way. And yeah, and I was going to get to that some of the stuff that's going on with you, but yeah, it's like the freedom of speech thing. It's so tough because yeah. And by the way, sorry to get you up so early today. I know we had some troubles with kind of coordinating the times because
Oh,
it's
it's all
wild
good.
that
8 a.m. is not that early. It's fine.
no, you're an early worm. Okay, that's good because
Yeah.
yeah.
You say early worm, we say early
No, no,
bird.
I meant to say early bird. Sorry. Okay, now you're
I'm like, is this a
embarrassing me.
Canadian
Okay,
thing?
I got the word wrong. I got the word wrong. Sorry. Okay, that's what
Early
happens.
worm works too. That's a good
Okay,
one.
yeah. So it happens. Um, so yeah, you had yeah, you do your videos and you do all kinds of stuff to uh, do your thing, and it seems like you've had a few problems and pushbacks. Like I watch you as much as I can, but there's lots of people out there. I thought I saw that you maybe like had some issues with a job that you had and things like that. Like what tell us your story of what's happened with some of what you've made and then what happened.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I feel like this one was the biggest pushback, but in the past I've had a lot of people just upset with my satire. Mostly just people on the left that get offended because that's kind of where I was making the jokes
Yeah.
at. But yeah, I did one where I started identifying it as different kind of people, and it was
Yes.
inspired by this segment that I saw on SBS, and it's a segment called Insight in Australia, and it was kind of like an episode from a couple years ago, but it came across my feed like only a few months ago, and it was a segment on this guy who transitioned into being a woman, so transgender. And the way that they were portraying him with all this like acoustic guitar, like the perfect music over it, I was like, this is a parody. Like, what
Yeah.
is this?
Yeah.
And they were saying it so seriously, like this guy wanted to play hockey, but there were all these rules about transgenders in hockey, like women's team, and I was just like, what is going on? And then I was just like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if I just took this argument, that if anyone can claim that they're a woman, or vice versa, then I can do that with race. Like,
Yeah.
let's take this argument further. And this is a really, like, this has been done before. Like, there's lots of
Well, there's
comedians that have
that guy.
done
Sorry,
this.
sorry to interrupt, but yeah, there's that guy. I think his name is Josh
Josh,
Saiter or
yes,
something, and he called it like some. He had some fancy word for describing exactly what it is when you reduce that argument and then you flip it.
reduction.
Yeah,
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 reduction to absurdity. That's
yeah,
like the English name.
exactly.
It's like a Latin name. Yeah, and it's exactly that. And I just did that, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this segment that I saw. It was like perfect for satire. Like it
Yeah,
was the segment was bits of him like playing hockey, like being out and about, and then also doing this interview. And I was like, I'll just copy that same segment. And the first ones that I did pretending or identifying as being Indian.
Yes.
And I'd done this kind of character before. I'd done like a few Indian parodies where I say that I'm Indian and, blah, blah, blah. Like, and we need more people from like white people in Indian government, things like that. Things that they do here.
Yeah, imagine
And
if that was to ever actually happen. It is wild, hey, like that how many people from other countries are in government in Western or white nations, and then the reverse just doesn't seem to exist, and nobody ever talks about it.
yeah, it's so
You know,
ridiculous.
your
Yeah.
videos, they hit so many things right on the nose over and over. They're amazing. Like whether it be the Indian one, which was just great, with whether it be like the pooping around, or I'm sorry, I have a tough time like
Throwing the
remembering all the little
rubbish.
details. And then the ones to do with Aboriginals are very funny as well. But they're
Yeah.
so on the nose that I think that's why they get so much attention. And you're just such a there. It does actually come down to your appearance in a way too. I'm sure you've like, I don't mean to reduce it to that, but
No, it's all
you
good.
don't strike as the same kind of person who would normally have the balls to do this kind of stuff. But you're out there.
That's probably why it works because it's like,
Yes.
what? Who is this? Like,
Yeah.
this Aussie like girl, like blonde hair now. Like, I mean, I didn't used to have blonde hair, but yeah, I can understand that it's probably a little bit funny that way.
Yeah. You bomb on Kill Tony, you've got to dye your hair. That's what you've got to do. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I thought that you did amazing on Kill Tony. I thought that the N word bit was hilarious. And I think
I mucked up, like I mucked up,
yeah,
and
it was,
it was so confronting. Like the first joke that I did, like, I'm not a I know I sound retarded, but I'm just Australian. And then it got so much laughter that I wasn't expecting because I'd never really done this. The first time doing stand up was the night before, and I had like it was with other comics, so no one laughed at my jokes. And so I'd never had that feedback before, and I just started freaking out.
yeah,
And then it messed up my timing. And then I was
yeah,
like, oh my God, now I'm doing an N-word joke. And I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
I started freaking out, and then I missed the end of it. And then everyone was like, was that it? I was like, oh, well, actually, I missed the end of it. There was meant to be an ending. And then he let me
yeah.
finish the end, and it was all just like,
No,
oh.
it was all right. Literally, what was crazy is I even think your timing was fine. I think it was just like the stage presence. Like if you had just laughed while you were saying it, you kind of were looking down and you had a bit of a down stage presence. But if you had just
Yeah,
laughed
yeah.
at
I
your
was
own joke,
totally
yeah,
freaking
with
out. My
jokes like
mind was
that,
like, boom, boom, boom,
yeah.
boom.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah, I've never done Kill Tony. Um, with jokes like that where they're super taboo, I feel like the only way to get the audience going is if you laugh for them, to show that you're like leading the laughter, and then they'll follow. Sometimes with
Yeah,
jokes like that,
yeah.
but so
Yeah, it was a big learning experience. It was,
yeah,
but yeah, yeah, and that's kind of like, it was funny over the last month. So then when I did the Aboriginal skit, which was the same, I did the same skit, I did the Indian skit, and like then I did this Aboriginal one, and I just kind of took what the Indian one was, and I took like, okay, the same kind of wording. I'm identifying as an Aboriginal now, a black fella,
yeah,
and then I just did stereotypes, and that's what I'd done for the Indian one. And the Indian one at the end, I just took a dump on the side of the road. And I was like, well, if I can do that, like with no, hit back, like no one really got really that offended by it. Like everyone thought it was pretty funny. Well, then I'll do the same with the Aboriginal one. I was like, well, that's like equivalent to like sniffing some petrol.
yeah,
and and apparently that was just like so,
yeah. And well,
you can't do that.
what's crazy is it translates over to Canadian Aboriginals too, because I have a lot of Aboriginal friends, and some of them are half French, half that we call it Métis, and so they just loved it because their people do that kind of stuff, and it's so funny.
They
And
do that, and they
you know
even
which
had a
one I like
song here. And
right before you're going to say your thing. Sorry,
yeah,
one thing I loved
yeah,
was your translation jokes, where you do the because I have seen some of the translations to Australian Aboriginal speech, and it is hilarious how sometimes it feels a lot like English. Like it is just basic English where it's just like, oh yeah, it's sick man. And what's the other language that's like that? Like not Madagascar. I think it's Madagascar. They have a similar Aboriginal language, which just feels like it's just kind of
yeah.
primitive English.
Yes, well, it is like, yeah, it's funny though with Aboriginal because there were like over 300 something tribes here in Australia. So they never ever were a nation. That's the whole thing. They were never a nation. It was just many, many tribes. And they actually all had different languages. A lot of them couldn't even understand each other, like talking, even though they were, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
same kind of genetics. But yeah, so then they kind of created this kind of form of English. So it was from English, but their own kind
yeah,
of, I don't know, whatever you call it.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just ridiculous. We had this like ad like years ago during COVID, which was like a COVID ad to tell people to get the COVID vaccine, and
yeah,
they had a translator for Aboriginal, and it was so racist to just
yeah,
assume that they couldn't understand English, and so they had to
yeah.
do this own Aboriginal English, which was basically the same. It's like, oh my god.
Totally, totally. And yeah, and you know what? We have the same thing in Canada too with the whole Aboriginals, and there is a lot of them, and they were having trouble and warring and stuff when we came here as well. It's a similar story, and
Mm.
I guess I don't know though. Do you have any idea as to what we should do about it? Because I feel like it's even forces in a
Give
lot
them
of
more
ways.
petrol. No,
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah, yeah. I guess that's
It's
the idea is. Sorry to be serious for a second. Sometimes I like
yeah,
to be a
no,
little
let's
bit
do it.
serious. Like um, I feel like whether it be with a trans ideology or whatever it may be, the idea is that if their culture has weaknesses over time, it should harm itself. So let them do what they're going to do, and then if we don't need to sit up here on some high horse and just tell them, hey, do this, do that. You know, if you do that, you're going to be in trouble. Not in trouble, but it's not
Mm,
going to work out well for you. And then
mm,
when they just let them do it at the end of the day, kind of thing. And if it's a bad thing to do, it should result in what we think will be bad. So
mm. Yeah, it's a tricky one. Like it must be really similar with Canada and Australia, like lots of similarities. But I started to read some books. I got some books from my uncle and auntie. My uncle and auntie are like absolutely based. But
yeah,
anyway, they gave me these books, and they're from like 1800s of this guy kind of documenting various different tribes around
tribes.
Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and just looking at their language, their culture, behaviors, and all of that. Hello, doggy.
Got a little doggy. I've got myself a little doggy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whoa, that is a sorry to be off. That is wait, no, that's a cat.
That's a cat. Yeah, she looks weird. Hey, I know, I know.
Whoa.
Do you have any pets? Sorry to interrupt your thing you're saying though. I do want to hear that,
Nah,
but
I used to have a cat, but now he just lives next door, and he's like a neighborhood cat now.
really, that's
Um,
funny.
yeah, yeah. I gave him to my neighbors when I went. I traveled, lived up in Byron Bay for a couple of years. That's quite
Okay.
far away up north, and I gave him to my neighbors because he was always over there anyway. And yeah, then I came back a couple of years later, and he just is
He
still
just loves
there.
them.
But he,
Yeah.
yeah,
So on face
yeah.
value, you can't even take care of a cat. So your neighbors.
Yeah, like
No, I'm just
it's
kidding.
sad. No, it was sad. It was really sad, but I looked up all the options, and it's really hard to take a cat somewhere else, and then especially up north because there's so much wildlife, and he's like an absolute outdoor cat. Like he hates being out inside all the time. He needs to be outside, and so he's just like absolutely loving it down here. He's a little boss down here. But yeah, up north, I think it would have been a lot harder, especially because I was renting as well. So I was just like, oh, my neighbors love him. They just lost their cat. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, money stuff can be such a challenge. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
like even me here where I live, like I have to have roommates and that kind of a thing. But I mean, hey, it's like the thing is that's the problem with immigration is it's like there is an advantage to it too because it pushes real estate up, and then you
Yeah.
have if you own something, you can rent it to other people and all that. So I don't know. I'm a little divided on the whole thing, but I think the
There's no
biggest
benefits. I see no benefits.
yeah
Get him out.
yeah yeah.
Uh,
So yeah,
um,
you're very funny for a girl. That's what I'll
oh,
say.
thank you.
Yeah, just
Thank you.
just give you that qualifier. No, I'm just kidding. Um, so like how long have you been doing comedy now? Like what do you consider it for that? And what are some of your inspirations? What are some of your other people or things that inspire you to just for comedy, not for necessarily some of this other deeper stuff you do? We can get to that, but
Yeah, so I mean, so kind of the story is that I went up to Byron. I lived up in Byron Bay for a few years, and like that place is a really interesting place. It's full of a bunch of hippies, a lot of like new age spiritual people, a lot of anti-vaxxers, a lot of anti-government people, just
hey, those are the
absolute
good liberals, though.
cookers.
That's
Yeah,
the way
yeah, the
liberal
absolute.
used to be. Was with just
This is Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. They're like the OGs. And then you've got like the right wing cookers that, like, kind of go the other way and they're like, F the government, like conspiracies, Nazis, like there's a bit of that. So it's an interesting place. And I just went there and I was like, whoa, this place is so different to what I'm used to. And then I just started noticing these little patterns,
yeah.
stereotypes.
So, in terms of Australia, are you from like a pretty rural place, or can you describe
Nah,
your upbringing a little bit, little bit
I
more detail?
I grew up in Melbourne, so Melbourne is like the second biggest city in
Okay,
Australia.
yeah,
Um, I would say it's has a lot more. Um, I liked it a lot growing up, but yeah, it's been hit by the woke stuff a lot. Like Melbourne is probably the wokest town city in Australia.
hmm
And I grew up in the suburbs, so not like directly in the heat of it, but yeah, a bit out in the suburbs, leafy green area, really beautiful. We had a lot of Asians at my high school, so that was kind of like that vibe where I was, just a lot of Chinese usually,
hmm
and some Aussies here and there.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, that's where I grew up. And then kind of after COVID, I moved down to the beach, just where I am now, on the coast. It's a little bit further out from Melbourne, but it's technically still a part of Melbourne. Yeah.
okay,
And then yeah, for a few years I lived in Byron, and so that's kind of where my comedy started, because I just started noticing all these funny things, started making fun of it, started making these skits, and it mainly was focused around like these spiritual people, hippies.
yeah.
And then I actually decided to move back to Melbourne, down here actually to the beach. Um, and that's
And
where my
what
mom
was
and dad are as well.
cool?
Yeah.
What was some of the music that you did, and then what was some of the jobs that you had, right up to like this most recent one that
Mm,
freaking tanked on you because of some of what you're doing now. But at the end of the day, I really don't think that losing a job is a big deal. Like,
no,
for God's
it's
sake,
okay.
like
Yeah.
you're extremely popular online. It's gonna turn into something that's gonna make money, and like if you don't make money, for God's sakes, there's lots of us out here. Just come and live in one of my houses. Keep doing what you're doing. But like, so what was your music like when you started doing that? And because I know I've
Mm,
interviewed quite a few other guys who they start their expression in music or whatever, and then they transition into stuff more like this because it's what works on the internet. What was your music like? And because maybe
yeah.
I can clip it and put it into this podcast a little bit, like, or unless you've
um,
disowned it, but
nah, it's still online. You can still find it. But yeah, I used to go under this artist name called Aora, Aeora, and I used to make pop electronic music. And it was
whoa,
pretty much just like I just kind of loved the music, like that kind of music at the time, like Banks. That was one of my favorite artists.
okay,
And I used to just kind of copy that kind of music. I was
yeah,
really influenced by pop music and I used to listen to that a lot. Now I don't at all.
yeah.
But yeah, that's the type of music I was making. And then during COVID, I made an album and I did it all myself, whereas I used to work with like other producers, but this time I worked just doing it myself. And then I put that album out um, just when the comedy was like when I started to do these funny videos. That's when I released the album, and that
Does
was
your
just under
music
my
have some of
name.
the same messaging? Like, is it funny?
No,
No.
no, that it was very serious and very emotional, dark. I it,
Did you
I
go through
think.
any if you don't mind me asking, and again, this is can be a part where we can just skip it if I ask it and you don't want to
Mm,
talk about it. Did you go through any phases where you were doing any type of drugs other than marijuana and alcohol? Like I know that in like a lot of people huff gas, not in Australia necessarily, but I know you guys like huff and gas in the East. Like, did you ever? What got you down that kind of dark pop route?
Mm, I had a bit of a difficult upbringing. A lot of my parents were fighting a lot. My mum was an alcoholic, and I just had a lot of just dark feelings, and that just translated to I wanted to make music. I started to just make songs about my feelings on the piano, got given a piano, guitar, and started just like looking at what other artists were doing. And I was like, oh, they can do that. I'll do it too. Like it's a way to express myself.
Can I ask you? Can I
Um,
ask you a question?
yeah.
Um, so my mom was an alcoholic as well. If you don't mind, I'll just
Okay.
tell you a little bit about myself really quick.
Yeah.
My mom was an alcoholic as well. I expressed myself a lot through sports growing up. But I was also raised by two women. My parents
Oh,
are lesbians, and
wow.
so whatever. And so my mom, I
This
wasn't.
explains a lot. No, I'm kidding.
Does it?
I'm kidding.
So I wasn't so sure about that the whole alcohol thing. Like I moderately use alcohol in my life nowadays, but there was a few points in my life where I really realized that my mom was an alcoholic. Like she would do a few things that were not clearly not good. Like this one time she like punched a hole in the wall and was like breaking stuff. Did your what when did you know that your mom was an alcoholic, and how is she doing now?
I knew pretty early on, like it was very, very evident. I don't remember the moment, but I was very young, and yeah, it went on for years and years, and she still struggles with it, but it's definitely not like what it was. She doesn't have these outbursts, and I actually think when someone drinks alcohol, they get taken over by demons. That's what I think. So I
Yeah.
think that's really a lot of that.
Yeah, some people,
Of
yeah,
what it
some
was.
people for sure. Maybe, but maybe across the board, who knows? It's substances are a weird subject for sure. So
Mm,
she would have outbursts. So like,
yeah, and like she just was just completely delusional and
yeah,
would just kind of pick fights,
yeah,
particularly with my dad and me, and it was just so yeah, it was very hard to I don't know, get needs met or whatever. And, to be around so much fighting and conflict, it was just a lot of stress. But yeah, I mean, I got through it and it was fine. And, my dad would always make me laugh. When there was like lots of arguments, he'd always try and make me laugh. And I think that's where
oh,
I learned that.
yeah,
And then, I had a lot of good stuff. I played a lot of sports as well. And, my mum deep down is a really, really lovely person and I love her a lot. She just, yeah, just struggles with that. And, we've all got our own little things,
yeah,
big things or
definitely,
little things. So it is the way it is. And you
yeah,
learn a lot of things from it as well. Like I learned a lot.
yeah,
And I think
yeah,
I just had to grow up quite quickly, maybe.
yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Is it's like sometimes when you see people that are expressing themselves, even if sometimes their expressions aren't entirely positive, there is a lot of learning that can come from that too. Like yeah, like I'm not sure if I could even use alcohol as I do now in a moderate way if I hadn't have seen some of and learned a lot of what I learned from my mom in that way. So I'm not
Mm,
really sure. But anyway, to change
mm.
gears a little bit, if that's all right with you,
Yeah, yeah.
so you're a very pretty girl, and like
Oh,
I
thank you.
I think it's a big part of like it's a damn it, it's an advantage you have over a guy like me. I've been doing this for 10 fucking years. And if I just had long blonde hair, maybe I should start calling myself a girl. Maybe I could get 10,000 followers. But um,
I
so
reckon you could do it.
yeah, maybe I
Give it a
should do
go.
it. Yeah, yeah, let's pretend. So do you like the Big Les show? Because it's one of the
The
Australian
what?
comedy things I've been taking in recently that I wanted to check in and see if you have watched it. If you haven't, you've got to check it
What
out.
is it? I don't know
It,
what it is.
the Big Les show is a really hilarious. It's an animated show, and there are a series of different Sasquatches that are characters in it. And all the voices in the show, it's a lot like South Park. All the voices in the show are done by this one Australian guy who's really talented. And I'm amazed you haven't heard of it. So you're telling me you haven't heard of the Big Les show?
No,
Oh, that's
this
too
is
bad.
crazy.
Okay, well, we can't talk about it too much then, but I guess I can just say go and watch it because it is. You're gonna have a thing is it's not too long, which is nice, and it's all free on YouTube. Just maybe like a long evening of binging, and you'll be caught up. There's like 4 seasons, and it is
Amazing.
good, funny Australian humor.
Do
So
you know, speaking of other countries' humor, I quite liked Trailer Park
yep,
Boys.
yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. Trailer Park Boys
Yeah,
is incredible. I love that show. It's
I, I, I first came across it. I traveled Canada when I was 19. I went America, then Canada, and throughout the hostels, they were all watching Trailer Park Boys,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
became obsessed.
yeah,
But I haven't really watched it since then. I just like at the time I was like, oh my god, this is like Aussie humor.
yeah.
It's really similar.
Just absurdist type stuff. So, have you traveled much outside of Australia?
Yeah, I've done a lot of traveling. I did
Have
a
you
lot
have
when
you
I
ever been
was
to the
about.
mountains or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did the Rocky Mountains. That was really beautiful. And then I went to Banff. There's like, I feel like Banff is like 80% Aussie at this point. Like we've totally colonized it.
Yeah,
But
it is all Aussie there. Like every time I stay there, there is an Aussie girl that looks exactly like you at the front desk working there. You don't want to hear a funny thing about Banff that was in the Canadian media that you might not have heard of is they had a DEI initiative in the firefighter, like in their firefighter people. They had a DEI initiative.
Mm,
They had a full fire hall that was all women, and they started it 1 year.
oh
This was
no.
like 3 years ago. I know this is misogynistic, but they started it like 3 years ago, and the day that they started it, like, because it's 3 years now, but the day they started it 3 years ago, there was a forest fire that engulfed all of Banff and
Mm,
completely burned down the whole city.
yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds about right. You can't trust women. You can't. You really can't. Don't trust them. Don't put them in leadership. Don't put them in government.
yeah.
Just, yeah.
So sometimes I feel like, well, I've heard this. I've heard put this way. I'm curious your take on it before I move on to this next thing. Is like with voting, you hear people say that women vote so overwhelmingly liberal and that there's a bit of a suicidal empathy. I'm not sure if you've heard of these terms that can cause some problems in them voting. Do you think that
Mm.
women voting is a good thing overall or a bad thing? And if we can leave them still voting, maybe there's a chance that, like, if you were to orient it like maybe just married women vote and then their husband gets 2 votes, but like that vote from the husband would represent the wife's vote as well. Like, do you think that women should vote? And if so, what kind of an adaptation could we do that might make it better?
Um, I I actually think just because of the way that we are now in this moment, I don't think that we should vote. But I'm just saying that in right now, it's because we've gone so far the other way. Whereas I think if we were more in the middle, I think whatever. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, right now I just think that men generally, like most men, I would say are good men. There are definitely the men that aren't good. Um, and I just think that men have a good idea of what is good for women as well. So I'm just happy and trusting of men to make the decisions on that
yeah.
one.
Oh, that's
And
nice to hear. I just want to express this in my own individual thing. I wish I heard more of that from women. It's overwhelming nowadays the amount of distrust you hear about women towards men. And it's like
mm,
I'm not seeing the same equation. Like, as much as I love women and I put women on such a pedestal because I was raised by 2 women, it's just hard for me to see a lot of the hate from women going towards men nowadays, or distrust, um
mm. But it's a
and
total psyop. The whole men versus women thing has been completely created to divide us and also to basically diminish our population. It's all
yeah,
depopulation.
yeah,
And yeah, I think anyone that leans into this fight between us, even I see it on the men's side too. I see these really,
liberal men,
you know,
yeah,
not even, no, not liberal. I see the hardcore men where they just think women are just, pointless or whatever. Like they just have
yeah,
bad views of women, and it's playing into the same thing. It's the
yeah,
opposite of
it's the
these really
opposite.
liberal women.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it's just as
and
bad.
yeah,
It's crazy. You know what's crazy for me, just from a base level, it's like I would put it like, I can't even believe that somehow we were psyoped into believing that, like, a man gets a house or builds a house or whatever he may do, and he makes a kitchen and he gets food, and then the woman being in the house preparing the food and taking care of kids. How did we ever get so mixed up to think that that is somehow a lesser role or something that
Mm.
that women shouldn't be proud of? That always just confuses me so much, because it just seems like a gift that men give to women in a way. Am I coming
Mm.
off like a total psychopath here, or?
No, it's so true. And yeah, it's honestly so sad to see what's going on in society. Like I'm now 31 and I wish so bad that I had kids and a
Yeah,
husband and
like, it's good to
like
see that you're in a kitchen now. Like, you're in.
it's where I belong.
Sorry, I
But
just thought of that one and I had to say it.
it's a small house. You can't
Yeah,
get you're basically in the kitchen all the time.
perfect,
But
perfect.
but yeah, I I think so many women and just the way that society is, and it's not everywhere in the world, but particularly, these Western nations, but we're getting to this age now where women, it's like, well, first of all, they actually ask you to get out of home first. I think that's one of the biggest psyops is like they tell kids at 18 or whatever age, oh, you should move out and you should move out with friends and you should start renting and blah, blah, blah. But then when you start renting, yeah, you've got more freedom, but then you have to have a job and and then when you have a job, you have to pay taxes. And it's like all a way to get money back to the government. And we've kind of lost this thing. Whereas I think back whenever, at least for the women, we would stay at home until we were married. Like
Yeah,
that was a real
and that means
normal
you're not
thing.
paying taxes. That means you're getting to live with your
Yeah.
dad, and that is better. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, now it's like completely out of that. And, you move out of home, you get a job, even the women, both men and women getting full time jobs. And then, like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, they're working. And on the weekends, they kind of have to let loose and maybe they get into partying. And then they get
yeah,
to like 30 years old. They're like, what the heck? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. I've
And
devalued myself. Yeah, totally.
yeah,
That's exactly how I describe it too. It is a strange little dominoes that just kind of fall into a bad place. You know,
yeah.
like,
And it's very far and few that like, I know some friends from high school that, like, for instance, my oldest friend, she's got 3 kids now. She's got a fourth on the way. She's my age, and it's like that's that's unheard of. Like a
yeah,
31-year
that's
old
awesome.
nearly having 4 kids with a husband. They've got a house. Like that's unheard of.
Oh yeah, and I bet you
That
that
used to
she's
be the
happy. I
norm.
bet you that she's super
Oh
happy.
yeah,
Yeah,
she is. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, I
it's
heard it put.
hard, but it's
Yeah,
she loves it, and
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it put in the way where it's like it was all just so that they could collect taxes from women as well, and that's probably what it is on that conspiracy bullshit level, you know.
Mm.
But who knows? I guess they do need taxes. So,
Yeah,
so
and I do think it goes a little deeper than that sometimes, but not everyone wants to see it this way, but I think there's definitely like Satan stuff going on, demons just kind of yeah, it's a way to depopulate us and destroy us and keep us fighting
yeah.
and blah blah.
So who are the demons? Like, do you think that the demons are? Okay, I'm just gonna be crude with this just to see where this goes. We can always just delete this. It's all good. Like, because I feel that too. I'm not as much a religious like that, and I don't use some of that religious terminology. But the more I look into things from my secular view and all that kind of shit, I feel like the fucking demons are Muslim people, and like I have a tough.
It's the Muslims.
Listen, I'm just kidding, sort of, but I know that there's moderate Muslims and all that, and that's great. But I hear things like, and I just talked to a bishop the other. I'm not kidding. I just did a podcast with a bishop from the UK. He oversees like hundreds of thousands of people in Britain and stuff like that, and he's a missionary bishop. Meaning, and he's like taking on the internet, so he's doing all kinds of stuff online to promote various things, and he's leading rallies against, because they're having this issue with rape in the UK, and so he's trying to
Mm,
correct that because they're not reporting the stats correctly and all that kind of stuff. So, and what was my point?
mm.
Yeah.
It's the Muslims,
Oh,
the demons.
So I understand that there's moderates, but the problem is that 1 in 10 Christians are extremists, and 1 in 3 Islamists are fundamental. And then you have that issue
Mm,
with Sharia law and all of that. So, and I even have friends. I've been around both women and men who are Muslims here in Canada, and I've talked in depth with them. And I don't know how to. I've run into a wall, so I'm not sure what to do about
mm.
those types of discussions.
Yeah, and I guess there is a big cultural difference as well because it's more than cultural difference. But for instance, those kind of more extremist ones, they see women, for instance, Western women,
As meat.
maybe wearing, yeah, but it might be just because of our clothing, because we don't have our hair covered, we don't have, we're not wearing like full covering. So they see that as,
Yeah.
oh,
Have you
she's
seen
she's a
Citizen
slut.
Vigilante yet?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it's
yeah,
like, well, that was what the
um,
bishop was saying, is that literally in their religion, any woman who isn't Muslim, so any Christian woman, irregardless of how she's dressed, is meat, and that you can
yeah,
abuse that. And that's what he was saying, and he was saying that that's the big problem. And I mean, I
yeah,
wish it wasn't such a big problem, but then unfortunately we collect statistics and then we see the problem and then we have to address it. So when are we
yeah.
going to address it is the big question right now. And
Mm,
all people like you and I can do, or people that are trying to do influence, we can try to send the messages out where we aren't going to get completely deplatformed, but our
mm,
communication is a lot cut off with us being able to put out clear messages. So anyway,
mm,
I don't know.
mm,
How do you
mm.
feel?
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. It's a big conversation in Australia. Like for instance, our kind of more right wing um, political parties. We've got this political party called One Nation, which has never taken political power. It's always been just liberal, which is our more meant to be right wing, but it's not really. But Liberal Party, and then you've got the Labor Party. The Labor Party's in power right now, but then we've got this other party, One Nation. They've been around for ages, meant to be right. They're right wing, and kind of they're making their whole thing against kind of extremist Muslims, and they're saying that they don't want them. They're gonna stop letting them immigrate, and they're trying to push for this monoculture thing. But I I think it's all BS. I don't think that you can really create a monoculture when you're allowing so many differences in, like, and I mean differences as in cultural, but also the ethnicities. Like we're letting in heaps of Indians, heaps,
Heaps.
and same
Us
with
too. Us
Canada.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're saying, oh, you can be Australian, just you have to have these cultural things, which when you ask them, these like older people, these, I call them civ nats, and they're just like, oh, you just need to have these values. And you're like, well, these values are kind of like human values. Like anyone can have them, but that doesn't make everyone Australian. Like there's a distinct ethnic part of this. And, you kind of first thing is the ethnicity, and then the culture is downstream from that.
Yeah.
And you can't just expect that we bring in millions of differences, Indians, Muslims, Middle Easterners, Africans now, and
Yeah.
just expect them to be like us. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And maybe you can get a few of them to do it, and it has worked. Like if you bring in a small portion, kind of dissipate them, if that's the word, like
Yeah.
make them
Yeah.
kind of spread out a bit.
Dilute
But
them.
what's
Yeah.
happening, yeah, that works. But when you bring them in like by, the thousands at one time, then they congregate to the same areas. They then take over whole areas, and
Yep.
they don't, the word assimilate. They don't assimilate,
Exactly.
but they never will. Because
Yeah.
why
I
would
know.
you,
Yeah.
it's like expecting a flower to become a different flower. Like
Totally.
it, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
just
the yeah,
ridiculous.
and the problem is too is that they have 6 kids each, and
Yeah.
it's like we don't do that. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough
It's
business,
going
but
to be,
Sorry, go
It's
ahead.
gonna be an absolute. It's gonna be an absolute poop show, basically.
Yeah, we're
Like,
gonna have to see what happens, and we're gonna have to see what is the dividing line as to when we decide to make like draw the line somewhere where we're like, what I always say and what I hear it being said as I talked to a PhD lady from University of Michigan 2 months ago, and her PhD is in multiculturalism, and it's an experiment. So what point are we going to call the experiment failed? And I'm not sure when that will be or what that's going to take. So, but
it's failed already. It's
we're
failed.
hey,
It's
fair
done.
enough. Me and you can decide that, and we might be very well right. But we're seeing action from higher levels of the religious institutions like bishops that are taking action and leading rallies and stuff. So, but they're rallying against
Mm,
us, so it's going to have to be rallies back and forth, and whoever wins will win. Hopefully, law and order can eventually come into
mm.
action, but we'll see. So,
I don't know. It's ridiculous. I feel like the globalists, like, if that's one word you can describe them as, but
yeah,
like,
it's
I
a
think,
buzzword.
yeah, but I don't know. It's crazy. Like, I just saw this clip of somewhere in the UK, where someone did some sort of anti-Semitic attack on someone. It was just like drawing a SWAT sticker, and it's like the same. They have the same way of dealing with it. They've got their own police and in
Yeah,
these certain areas, and it's like, whoa, this is happening in Australia too. Like,
yeah.
it's over in the UK. It must be happening in Canada. It must be happening in the US. Like,
It is. It
it's
is. And
all
they
doing the
call them,
same
yeah, it
thing.
is. And they call them Sharia courts. So basically, like, it's courts that are being allowed to be run within our countries. And they,
Oh, the Muslim, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
the
yeah.
Muslim.
And like a dude will rape like his cousin or something like that. And they'll like let it go, or stuff like that'll happen. I mean, I don't know if you heard about the Henry Novak thing in the UK, where that Sikh guy, the Sikh people are allowed to
Yeah.
carry a knife because it's apparently a ceremonial knife. And in Britain, there's no guns. In Australia, there's no guns. They're heading that way in Canada too, but yet
Mm,
these people are allowed to carry knives, and no one else has a knife. So, Buddy, they get into a little bit of a tussle in an alley, and he
mm.
stabs him, and then he's dead. And somehow the police didn't even look into the guy who has the knife. And I don't know. Did you hear about that story or no?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
yeah, I definitely did. Yeah.
yeah,
There's been some crazy ones. Like, there was that one, then there was the beheading one. That was
yeah.
just,
Yeah, that was in
ugh.
Ireland. Yeah, I heard about that one too.
Yeah. And like, even before
Barbaric
that, like when
behavior.
when the Charlie Kirk thing happened,
Oh,
that was intense. And but I think it was like 2 days before that, there was that woman, that Ivanka or something, that was killed on the bus as well. It was just like bang, 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 all these things, and seeing it. It was just like that Charlie Kirk one. That was probably a big wake up call, and like, definitely, yeah, yeah, woke up a lot of people. And
oh yeah.
yeah,
There's going to be
but yeah, it's
need to
been
be
like
more
one
stuff
after the
like that.
other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's going to need to be more. You'd think the Charlie Kirk thing would be enough, but there's going to need to be more stuff like that, I think. But gosh, how
Mm.
much
And
more?
then I
Yeah.
saw one, I think it happened in Canada like 2 days ago.
Uh
A
oh.
truck driver, like an Indian truck driver, drove over this woman, a Canadian, and oh, like,
Oh,
it
I never
was
even
so
heard about that
gory.
one. Yeah.
Oh my God, you just see her inside. Anyway, it was just disgusting. And
Yeah.
um,
All right.
yeah,
Well, hey, let me ask you about this last. Let me ask you about this. This has been amazing.
that's,
Thank you so much.
we're going to end it on that. Just
No, we're not. We're not.
guts
Thank
going
you.
everywhere.
This has been amazing. We've been talking for an hour, but I could talk to you for hours. Just to circle back, we were talking about some of the jobs you had, and some of the
Oh, yeah.
inspiration you had, but not just inspiration for comedy, inspiration to, and we're obviously touching on a lot of it right now societally, and things that I think the average non woke or non crazy person is looking at and getting a little freaked out. So we're obviously trying to counter that in terms of our messaging. But what else
Mm.
inspires you? And you talked about some people that inspired you. So what was the job that if you don't mind me asking specifically about this
Mm.
job situation, because you have talked about it publicly quite a bit on your stories where you were talking about it and that kind of thing. If
Mm.
there's anything you can still talk about, what happened
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
job? Where's it at now? If is there going to be some sort of a lawsuit involved? And then I want to know about your inspiration that gets you to be such an angel like this.
Oh. Um, yeah, so the job was working at these hot springs nearby. Really beautiful job. I used to do their workshops and just guiding their workshops. So we had like a sauna and ice plunge workshop, and we had a clay workshop, which is kind of funny because it was like this Aboriginal clay thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I used to do that. It was a great job. And then when I did the Aboriginal skit, somebody somehow doxed that I like. It's called doxing,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
basically what that means is that they let out to the public that I work at this place. And
Yes.
that was not public knowledge. No one knew that. Only people that I worked with knew that, obviously. But I was completely separate. My social media and my comedy was completely separate from this job. I didn't say that I worked there or anything. And so no one should have known. But somehow it got let out, whether it's an employer or whatever. Um, but yeah, then someone spread it all over the internet and it went viral. Like people made posts like, "Hey, does this do you, talking to my past employer, like, does the hot springs, do you know that this girl works there?" And then they asked for me to be fired. And then like within 12 hours, I had a shift the next day and they just pulled me in straight up. Like I walked in and they called me in, and then
Yeah.
I had a 2-minute meeting and I was fired.
Yeah. What did they say?
And
What did they say in that meeting?
they said we had different values. That was what it
Values.
was. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I knew what they were talking about. They knew, like, I knew, like, it was because of the skit, right? But they didn't really outrightly say that. He didn't outrightly say that. He just said, we have different values. And then he asked me to take down the video. And I said, no, because it
Oh,
has nothing. Because it has nothing to do with you guys. Like, it's nothing to do with this
what?
work.
That's an
Um,
infringement on your rights. Like,
yeah, it was so ridiculous. And then that was that. And it was literally a 2-minute meeting. And then later that day, I got an email with like the official, firing thing. And then they actually changed it. And they didn't say different values, they said serious misconduct. And they couldn't define that. And they're still really like, anyway. So now I'm in this process with a lawyer and we're doing like an unfair dismissal. Um, yeah, so that's basically the process. Probably we'll just get to settlement, though it might do a little payout or something like that. But they are fighting it and they're claiming that they had every right to. But there's a part of it that I understand. Like you don't want to ruin your reputation as a company, but the point was that they basically sided with the woke mob and cited that this was a bad thing and they took it very seriously, whereas they didn't see it as a joke. They didn't see the satire and they didn't see maybe the angle of like, hey, this girl's her job just got released online and people found out where she worked and that resulted in us knowing about this and then it turned into their reputation and that information shouldn't have been known. And so they weren't like sympathetic to my position. They just went straight on to theirs and,
that's
you
insane.
know,
That's what
but they
social
haven't.
services should be used for. Like after something like that happens, you should be getting
Mm.
free money from the government to live while they figure out their cultural bullshit. That's so unfair, and I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Like,
It's ridiculous. But and then when they fired me, like they kind of publicized it and they said that I was no longer working there.
yeah,
And then all my followers and all my supporters were like, this is BS. And they basically went, you know, ham on their social media saying like, I can't believe you fired her. And then they shut down their social media, turned off their comments because of my supporters. So it was actually a bad reputation to fire me. It
yeah,
wasn't necessarily like, yeah.
yeah. It goes both ways, hey.
Yeah, it goes both ways.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah, that's that.
And then,
And
then let's get to the nice side of it a little bit. So obviously, that's the kind of stuff that keeps a person going, and it lights that fire even brighter to continue to put your neck out there when you're in the middle class, you need to get a job, but then you're apparently not able to have a job while sending simple political messaging that you're trying to send through creating content on the side. So that's clearly a problem. But
mm,
what inspired, like, because there had to be, I mean, I guess maybe this is a redundant question because we have gone over it a bit. But I guess what inspires you? I just want to know what did this to you, because I obviously feel like I'm in a bit of the same position. I've
I
devoted
think
33% of my life to making a podcast, doing this kind of stuff. What started it for you where you're like, I want to make people laugh. I love that. But also, I want to make sure that people kind of know the truth at the same time.
Yeah, I think I just started to wake up to a lot of the corruption. And like, as I said, I started with the, making fun of these Byron Bay types. But then what happened was it switched for me
What's a
because
Byron Bay type?
the spiritual hippies, but there's lots of like wellness coaches and like there's a lot of
Yeah.
attractive people that live up there too. Like anyway, it's a whole vibe.
Yeah.
You just have to go there to understand.
Yep.
But yeah, but that was kind of like surface level stuff. And then it wasn't until I really woke up to what was going on. And actually, what happened was I did do some mushrooms one time,
Ooh.
and and I haven't done it since, but I did it, and it basically showed me what happened during COVID. Because during COVID, I was kind of not awake at all to any of this, and then I started to slowly understand what happened and that there was a lot of lies and deception and corruption. And then when I did this mushroom trip, it basically showed me the levels of corruption where it started. And it started like, it was starting locally, and then the government and politicians, and then these corporations, and then these higher up people in different countries. And then it basically went up to these like more demonic kind of figures that I perceived as demonic, and like these aliens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it showed me this like anti-human agenda, which is like possibly this depopulation thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was very
Jews,
deep.
the Jews.
Amateurs, yeah. I
No,
did,
I'm
yeah,
just
but
kidding. I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, so then I started to wake up to that stuff, and that's when I started to really do this type of comedy and satire where I started poking at truths and things that were going on in the government, and
Yeah.
these cultural things that I just started to see as like kind of dark and ruining our society. And it changed from just making this comedy about these surface level things to these deeper things, because I saw, holy moly, like we've got a problem here.
Yeah. Wow. And
And
so mushrooms. Thank
yeah,
you, mushrooms. Hey. Yeah, I've
well,
I've done
yeah,
mushrooms a few times. It's crazy how they tell you things. It's wild. Like,
yeah. I'm not like I don't think everyone should be doing them. I think they should be
no.
like every now and again, maybe.
Yeah.
But I've kind of stopped them for now. I just think we can learn this stuff without this stuff, and I think that also it does really open you up to some other energies, and I think it's better to be protected. I think
For sure.
you never know. Yeah.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, they take you away a little bit from I feel like the fear of survival where you're like, "Oh, I've just got to follow the mob." And then it makes you see it in maybe a different way. I'm not sure. But thank you so
Mm,
much for sharing all your thoughts today.
thank you.
This
Thanks
is
for
the
having me.
podcast. We're done. Uh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank
If you guys
you.
want to find Lisa Jane Spencer online, please go subscribe to her YouTube. You can find her on Instagram. That's Lisa Jane Spencer, spelt the
Mhm.
good English way that it should be spelt. No bullshit liberal letters in there. And so, yeah, that's it. That's Canadian Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.